Set deadlines for yourself and keep them. Some people go through the breakup process very quickly. Others take a significant period of time to resolve the relationship separation. One of the things you can do to make sure that the relationship ends at a speed that you want it to end at is to set and keep deadlines. For example, you can decide that you're going to dedicate no more than 60 days to reaching an agreement with your spouse or significant other outside of the courtroom. Once that 60-day period passes, you file a lawsuit and you keep moving through the case to its conclusion. Or at the end of that 60-day period, you hire an attorney. But what happens in many instances is the person sets a deadline or they don't set a deadline and they just allow things to kind of continue on. And that's how you look up 6 months from the time you said you were going to separate and you're still in the relationship. You don't have to do that. Set deadlines and keep them. Never negotiate against yourself. Always force a counteroffer. You should never negotiate against yourself. And here's an example of negotiating against yourself. Let's say a person, Jane, wants to sell a television. And she goes to Joe and she says, I'll sell you this television for $500. And Joe says, that price is so high that there's no point in us talking any longer. Well, if Jane lowers her price, she's now negotiated against herself. You don't want to do that. You want to force the other person to provide a counteroffer. Go to the courthouse and watch hearings. You know, one of the things that people fail to do is go to the courthouse and watch cases that are like theirs. The courthouse is not restricted from you until it's your day to appear in court. You can go to the courthouse. You can watch what happens. In many instances, I've had clients who, while waiting for their case to be called, they watched other cases and it helped them relax. It gave them a sense or an understanding of what it was that was going to happen when their case was called. So if you go to the courthouse and you watch a case well in advance, maybe days, maybe weeks, then it will help you get an understanding of what it is that you need to do in order to have the best outcome possible. In larger cities, sometimes it's a little more difficult to get an idea for who your judge is going to be. But in some of the smaller cities and in the towns, you can actually see who your judge is going to be, and you can get an understanding for the different quirks that that judge has. So you definitely want to go to the courthouse and watch a hearing. Another tip that you should keep in mind is that judges do not typically draft the orders. When a judge makes a decision in a case, usually one of the parties is asked to create the order. You can think of it like when you ask, or a situation when you ask a person to write a letter of reference for you, and that person says, well, why don't you write the letter for me? I'll read it, and if I agree with it, then I'll sign it. It's a similar kind of concept because the judges can't place themselves in situations where they're writing orders for every divorce that comes through. So they count on the parties that are involved. It helps the process move much more efficiently. So you want to keep in mind that the judge is not likely to be the one that drafts the order. And you want to make sure that you find out who it is that's been assigned to drafting the order. Okay, everybody, once again, I want to tell you my name is Damon Moore. You've been listening to or watching a video on pre-separation planning, and these tips in the video are not the same tips that you're going to get in the ebook. So if you found the tips in the video to be useful, then make sure that you sign up for the ebook so that you can receive an additional 50 tips that will help you as you plan out the course of your life moving forward. Thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this.